Stop what you are doing right now, because what you are about to hear is going to change the way you think about running forever. There are over 800 marathons run around the world every single year. 800 races, 800 finish lines, 800 opportunities to test everything you are made of. But here's the truth that nobody tells you when you first start running. Most marathons are just races. You show up, you suffer for 42 kilometers, you go home, you eat, you sleep, and by Monday morning, it is already fading from your memory. But then, there are the others, the 10 on this list. These are not just marathons. These are experiences that stop traffic in entire cities. These are races with waiting lists longer than some universities. These are courses where the greatest runners in human history have stood on start lines and done things with their bodies that the rest of us can barely comprehend. These are the places where world records have been shattered, where finish lines have made grown adults collapse and weep, where complete strangers have held each other up through the final kilometers because that is what these races do to people. They reveal who you truly are. Whether you are a beginner chasing your very first finish line or an elite runner chasing a time that will define your career, these 10 marathons are the ones you must experience before you die. 10 races, 10 cities, 10 stories that will set your soul on fire. And before we go a single step further, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button right now. Every single week on this channel, we bring you the greatest stories, the most iconic races, and the most extraordinary athletes in the entire world of running. Stories that will make you lace up your shoes and go outside. You do not want to miss a single one. Now, let's run. We begin with the race that started everything, the oldest, the most prestigious, the most coveted starting line in the world of marathons, the Boston Marathon. Boston, Massachusetts, USA. If running is a religion, and for many of us it is, Boston is its holiest ground. April 19th, 1897, over 128 years ago, while your grandparents were not yet born, while the automobile was barely invented, while the modern Olympic Games had only just been established, Boston was already running. It is the oldest annual marathon in the entire world. Through 2 world wars, through the Great Depression, through assassinations, pandemics, and the bombing of its own finish line in 2013, Boston has never stopped. Not once. Not for a single year. That is not just tradition. That is defiance. That is the spirit of running refusing to be broken by anything this world throws at it. But here is what truly makes Boston different from every other marathon on this planet. You cannot just sign up. You have to earn your place. Boston is the only world marathon major that requires every single runner from every country, every age group, every background to qualify with a specific time from a previous certified marathon. To run Boston as a man under 35, you need to have previously run a marathon in under 3 hours flat. Under 3 hours. That is running every single kilometer in under 4 minutes 16 seconds for 42 consecutive kilometers. And even hitting that standard does not guarantee your entry. In recent years, the demand has been so high that runners need to beat the qualifying standard by 5 or even 6 minutes just to secure a place. What does that mean? It means that every single person on that Boston start line, every one of the 30,000 runners has already proven they deserve to be there. That energy, when 30,000 proven athletes stand on the same start line, is unlike anything in the world of sport. And then the course breaks them anyway. Heartbreak Hill. Between kilometers 26 and 33, a brutal series of rises that have ended the race day dreams of thousands of runners who went out too fast in the first half. The course runs from the small town of Hopkinton through 8 cities and towns before finishing on Boylston Street in the heart of downtown Boston. That finish on Boylston Street, with the crowds 20 people deep on both sides, with the roar building from a kilometer away, with the knowledge that you earned, truly earned, every single step of this journey. There is nothing like it. 30,000 runners finish every year. 30,000 more are rejected. Registration opens every September. Entry fee approximately $250. Register at baa.org. Course records. Men, 2 hours, 3 minutes, 2 seconds. Jeffrey Mutai, 2011. Women, 2 hours, 19 minutes, 59 seconds. Tigst Asefa, 2024. Boston is not just a marathon. It is the marathon. From the oldest marathon in the world to the most organized, the most breathtaking, the most perfectly executed marathon experience on the planet. The Tokyo Marathon. Tokyo, Japan. Established in 2007, the youngest of the 6 world marathon majors, but what it lacks in age, it more than compensates for in sheer, overwhelming, unforgettable experience. Let me paint you a picture. It is early March. The streets of Tokyo are lined 10 people deep for 42 kilometers, over 1.7 million spectators. 1.7 million human beings who woke up early, left their warm homes, and came to stand in the cold streets of Tokyo, not to watch their favorite athlete, but to cheer for strangers. Because in Japan, every runner is worthy of their full support. Taiko drums thundering through the streets of Asakusa, school children waving hand-painted signs through the Ginza district, volunteers, over 10,000 of them, stationed at every water point, every medical station, every kilometer marker, offering help with a bow and a smile that makes you feel like the most important person in the world. The Japanese concept of omotenashi, wholehearted hospitality, turns the Tokyo Marathon into the most perfectly organized running event on the planet. Every water station is immaculate. Every timing mat works perfectly. Every medical team is in exactly the right position. Nothing is left to chance. Nothing is out of place. Tokyo does not just host the marathon, Tokyo perfects it. And then there is the course, running past the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building, through the ancient streets of Asakusa, past the luxury of Ginza, through the modern towers of Nihonbashi, before finishing near the iconic Tokyo Station. 42 kilometers of a city that contains centuries of history and decades of the future, all in the same breath. 38,000 runners finish every year. Over 300,000 people apply through lottery, less than 13% chance of getting in. Lottery opens every August. Entry fee approximately $350. Register at marathon.tokyo. World records, men, 2 hours, 2 minutes, 16 seconds. Eliud Kipchoge, 2025. Women, 2 hours, 15 minutes, 22 seconds. Brigid Kosgei, 2024. If you get a Tokyo Marathon lottery entry, treat it like the golden ticket it is, because 262,000 people who applied the same year as you did not get one. Quick pause right here. We are just getting started, and already we have covered 2 of the most extraordinary races on Earth. If this video is already making you want to run, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Every week, new races, new records, new stories that will push you to lace up and go further than you ever thought possible. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, and let's keep going. Atmosphere. One word. If there is one single word that separates the London Marathon from every other race on this planet, that word is atmosphere. The London Marathon. London, United Kingdom. Established in 1981. Founded by Olympic gold medalist Chris Brasher, who ran the 1979 New York City Marathon and came home asking one simple question: could London do this? 44 years later, London doesn't just do it. London has made it an art form. The course is a living museum. You run past the Cutty Sark, a 19th century clipper ship that sailed the seas before your grandparents were born. You cross Tower Bridge, one of the most photographed structures in human history, with crowds so thick on either side you cannot see where the people end and the city begins. You run past Buckingham Palace, past the Houses of Parliament, through the glass towers of Canary Wharf, down the historic embankment of the River Thames, and then the Mall. That final stretch down the mall toward the finish line, with the crowd screaming from both sides, with Buckingham Palace at your back, with every kilometer of suffering finally about to end, there is no finish line in marathon running more beautiful than this one. But London is also the marathon of the human spirit. Every year, thousands of runners compete not for time, but for something greater. They run in full costumes, rhinos, superheroes, astronauts, full suits of armor, raising money for causes close to their hearts. The London Marathon has raised over £1 billion for charity since 1981. £1 billion, raised one step at a time. That is not a marathon. That is humanity at its very best. 50,000 runners finish every year. Over 800,000 people apply annually. Ballot opens every May. Entry fee approximately £150. Register at londonmarathonevents.co.uk. World records: men, 2 hours, 1 minute, 25 seconds. Kelvin Kiptum, 2 hours, 11 minutes, 30 seconds. Perez Jepchirchir, 2024. London has been the home of more marathon world records than any other city on earth, and every single year it threatens to host another one. You want speed? Real speed? The kind of speed that makes the entire world stop and stare? There is only one place on earth you need to be: the Berlin Marathon. Berlin, Germany. Established in 1974. What began as a tiny race through the parks of West Berlin with just 286 runners and a dream has become the fastest marathon course in the history of human running, and I do not use that phrase lightly. The Berlin Marathon course is flat, not just flat, completely, totally, mercilessly flat. No hills, no significant elevation, no surprises, no heartbreak hills hiding in the second half, waiting to destroy your race. Just 42 kilometers of perfect, smooth, fast tarmac through one of the most historically significant cities in the world. You run past the Reichstag, past Checkpoint Charlie, through the Brandenburg Gate, the most iconic marathon finish line in the entire world. When you pass under those 200-year-old columns of the Brandenburg Gate at the end of the Berlin Marathon, you understand why 150 countries send runners here every single year. But the world records are what make Berlin truly extraordinary. Dennis Kimetto, 2 hours, 2 minutes, 57 seconds, 2014. Eliud Kipchoge, 2 hours, 1 minute, 39 seconds, 2018. Eliud Kipchoge, 2 hours, 1 minute, 9 seconds, 2022. Tigst Assefa, 2 hours, 11 minutes, 53 seconds, women's record, 2023. Berlin is not just where world records are set. Berlin is where the limits of human running are systematically and repeatedly dismantled. 45,000 runners finish every year. 150,000 plus people apply through lottery. Lottery opens every October. Entry fee approximately €150. Register at bmw-berlin-marathon.com. If you want to run your fastest marathon, there is only one answer: Berlin. The biggest, the loudest, the most electric, the most emotionally overwhelming marathon experience in the world. The New York City Marathon, New York, USA. Established in 1970, founded by Fred Lebow, a man who transformed running from a niche sport into a global phenomenon. The first New York City Marathon had 127 finishers. 127. Today, it is the largest marathon in the entire world. 5 boroughs, one unforgettable day. The course takes you through all 5 boroughs of New York City: Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Manhattan. You cross 5 bridges. You run through 29 of the most vibrant, most diverse, most alive neighborhoods on the planet. 1 minute, you are in Brooklyn. Caribbean music shaking the ground. Crowds so deep you can barely see the buildings behind them. The next, you are in Queens. Dozens of languages being shouted at you from the sidewalks, because New York is the world in one city. Then the Bronx. Then back into Manhattan, down Fifth Avenue, with the skyscrapers rising on both sides like walls of human ambition, and into Central Park, the finish line in Central Park. Over 2 million spectators line the streets of New York on Marathon Day. 2 million people. And because your name is printed on your race bib, the New York crowd finds it at kilometer 35, when your legs are gone, when your mind is in the darkest place it has ever been. A complete stranger in the crowd spots your name and screams it, and something happens inside your chest that cannot be explained, only experienced. 50,000 runners finish every year. 100,000 plus people apply through lottery. Lottery opens every January. Entry fee approximately $358. Register at nyrr.org. Course records. Men, 2 hours 5 minutes 6 seconds. Jeffrey Mutai, 2011. Women, 2 hours 22 minutes 31 seconds. Margaret Okayo, 2003. New York is not the fastest marathon. It is not the oldest, but it is the most alive, and that is worth more than any world record. We are exactly halfway through the 10 most iconic marathons on Earth, and we have not even gotten to the truly wild ones yet. If you are still here, still running with me, make sure you are subscribed, because the next 5 races on this list are going to take you places you have never even imagined a marathon could go. Hit subscribe. Stay with me. Let's Keep Moving equals 2 world records, the men's and the women's, both set on the same course in the same city in consecutive years. No other marathon on Earth can say that. The Chicago Marathon, Chicago, Illinois, USA, established in 1977. What began as a small race through the streets of the Windy City has become the world record capital of marathon running. The course is built for speed, almost perfectly flat, winding through 29 of Chicago's most vibrant and diverse neighborhoods. Chinatown, where the drums are so loud they vibrate through your chest and give your legs a second life. Pilsen, where the colors and the music and the energy of the Mexican community lifts you off the ground. Greektown, Little Italy, Lincoln Park, the magnificent mile of Michigan Avenue. 29 neighborhoods, 29 completely different sounds and cultures and energies, all pushing you forward, all carrying you toward that finish line. And then there are the world records. October 8th, 2023, Kelvin Kiptum crossed the Chicago finish line in 2 hours, 0 minutes, 35 seconds, the fastest marathon ever run by a human being. And then, October 13th, 2024, Ruth Chepngetich, 2 hours, 9 minutes, 56 seconds, the fastest marathon ever run by a woman. The first woman in history under 2 hours and 10 minutes. 2 world records, same city, same course, back-to-back years. Chicago does not just host marathons. Chicago makes history. 40,000 runners finish every year. 100,000 plus people apply through lottery. Lottery opens every November. Entry fee approximately $250. Register at chicagomarathon.com. If you want to run the course where both marathon world records were born, Chicago is your answer. Everything we have covered so far, Boston, Tokyo, London, Berlin, New York, Chicago, they are all 42 kilometers. Now we leave the standard marathon distance completely behind, because the next race on this list is not a marathon. It is a test of the human soul, the Comrades Marathon. KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. Established in 1921, over 100 years old. Founded by World War I veteran Vic Clapham, who wanted to honor the endurance and sacrifice of soldiers who had suffered in the trenches of Europe. He created a race so hard, so brutally, unforgivingly hard, that finishing it would mean something. Over a century later, it still does. The distance? Approximately 90 kilometers. 90, between the cities of Durban and Pietermaritzburg in the hills of KwaZulu-Natal. The direction alternates every year. One year it is uphill, from Durban to Pietermaritzburg. The next year it is downhill, from Pietermaritzburg to Durban. And here is the most brutal rule in all of running. The cutoff is 12 hours. If you do not cross that finish line within 12 hours, the gun fires, the finish line closes, and your race is over, no matter how close you are. Runners who miss the cutoff by seconds, literally seconds, are stopped before they can cross. No medal, no finish, no second chance until next year. The Comrades Marathon does not negotiate. It does not feel sorry for you. It simply asks one question: are you strong enough? And the people of KwaZulu-Natal come out in their hundreds of thousands to find out the answer with you. The singing, the dancing, the absolute, overwhelming, unconditional support of South African crowds creates an atmosphere that no other race on earth has ever replicated. 25,000 runners start every year. Approximately 7,500 do not finish. Registration opens every June. Entry fee approximately 1,800 Rand. Register at comrades.com. Course records: men, 5 hours, 24 minutes, 49 seconds, Kleber Rosa, 2023. Women, 5 hours, 58 minutes, 53 seconds, Gerda Stein, 2021. The Comrades Marathon is not for everyone, but for those who cross that finish line, it is everything. What if I told you that you could run a marathon on a continent where almost no human being has ever stood, where the temperature drops to minus 20 degrees, where your only spectators are penguins? The Antarctica Marathon, King George Island, Antarctica. Established in 1995. This is not a race. This is an expedition. To get to the start line, you fly to the tip of Argentina. You board a ship. You spend 2 days crossing the Drake Passage, one of the roughest, most dangerous bodies of water on Earth. And then, when you finally arrive, when you step off that ship onto the ice and rock of King George Island, you run 42 kilometers through ice, through mud, through snow, through gravel paths carved into one of the most remote and beautiful places on this earth. No city crowds, no cheering millions, no music, no noise except the sound of the Antarctic wind, the crunch of ice beneath your feet, and the distant call of penguins watching you from the hillside. Actual penguins watching you run a marathon. The scenery is unlike anything your eyes have ever processed. Glaciers reaching into the Southern Ocean, mountains of pure white disappearing into cloud, a silence so complete it feels like the earth itself is holding its breath, and you are running through it. Only 250 runners per year, registers 2 years in advance. Entry fee approximately $9,000, including ship passage and accommodation. Register at marathontours.com. Yes, $9,000. But put a price on running a marathon on the last great wilderness on Earth. You cannot run Antarctica, a marathon on Antarctica. If that does not make you want to subscribe to this channel, I genuinely do not know what will. We have 2 more races left, and they are both completely extraordinary. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, tell a runner you know about this video. Now, let's finish strong. You have run through cities, through wilderness, through frozen tundra. Now, we run on top of one of the greatest human achievements in the history of civilization, the Great Wall Marathon, Huangyaguan, China. Established in 1999. The Great Wall of China stretches over 21,000 kilometers. It was built over centuries by millions of workers to protect an empire, to define a civilization, to stand forever as proof of what human beings can accomplish when they commit to something completely. And now, you can run on it. The Great Wall Marathon takes you along ancient sections of the wall that have stood for over 600 years, including 5,164 steps, 5,100 64 steps, going up and up again and down again. Some steps are 30 centimeters high, some are 60, some are crumbling at the edges. All of them are uneven. All of them will destroy your quads in ways a flat road marathon never could. And between the wall sections, the course drops down into the stunning countryside of Hebei province, through small ancient villages where children run alongside you cheering in Mandarin, through valleys so green and so peaceful they feel like something from a different century, because they are. The average finish time for the Great Wall Marathon, over 6 hours, because those 5,164 steps do not care how fast you are. They only care how determined you are. 2,500 runners from 60 plus countries every year. Registration opens every October. Entry fee, approximately $1,500. Register at great-wall-marathon.com. The Great Wall Marathon is not about running fast. It is about running through history and feeling every single 600-year-old step of it beneath your feet. And now, for the final race on this list, we go somewhere that no training plan, no race manual, no running coach could ever truly prepare you for. The Big 5 Marathon, Limpopo, South Africa, established in 1999. Let me ask you something. Have you ever run through a game reserve? A real one? With real wild animals? Lions, elephants, rhinos, leopards, buffalo? The Big 5. The Big 5 Marathon takes place inside the Entebbe Safari Conservancy, one of the most spectacular wildlife reserves in all of Africa. And because this is a real game reserve with real wild animals living their real wild lives, armed game rangers accompany the runners throughout the entire course. Let that sink in for a moment. You need armed guards to run this marathon, not because of crime, not because of danger from other human beings, because lions, real lions, live here. The course itself is brutally challenging. Significant elevation changes, dirt trails, rocky terrain that makes every other marathon course feel like a Sunday stroll. But the views, oh, the views. The African bush stretching to the horizon in every direction, the sunrise over the savannah, painting the sky in colors that no camera has ever truly captured. Elephants moving in the distance, so enormous, so graceful, so completely indifferent to the fact that you are running past them. Birds filling the air with a sound so rich and so layered it stops you mid-stride. And the silence between those sounds, the deep, ancient African silence, is the most powerful thing you will ever hear while running. Only 300 runners per year. Registration opens every July. Entry fee, approximately $1,500, including accommodation and safari. Register at big-5-marathon.com. The Big 5 Marathon is not a race. It is a safari. It is an adventure. It is a story you will still be telling 30 years from now. 10 marathons. Boston, where you earn your place. Tokyo, where perfection meets passion. London, where 1 billion people cheer. Berlin, where world records are born. New York, where 2 million strangers know your name. Chicago, where history is made twice. Comrades, where 90 kilometers reveals what you are truly made of. Antarctica, where penguins watch you run through the last wilderness on Earth. The Great Wall, where 5,164 steps connect you to 600 years of history, and the Big 5, where lions remind you that you are not at the top of the food chain, but you are running anyway. 10 completely different races, 10 completely different experiences, 10 completely different versions of the same truth, that running reveals who you are. Not the version of you that shows up to work every Monday morning, not the version that sits in traffic and scrolls through their phone, the real version, The version that exists at kilometer 35 when your body has nothing left and you keep going anyway. The version that crosses a finish line and cannot find words for what just happened because there are no words for what just happened. The version that is capable of far more than you have ever allowed yourself to believe. These 10 marathons do not just give you a medal, they give you that version of yourself. So pick one. Just one race from this list. Research it, register for it, train for it every single day. Show up on race morning with everything you have and cross that finish line, because on the other side is a version of you you have never met. And I promise you, from the bottom of my heart, you are going to love them. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these 10 marathons is on your bucket list? Which one made your heart beat a little faster? Mine? Comrades. 90 kilometers through South Africa. I am getting there, one training run at a time. And if you are not yet subscribed, this is your final reminder. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share this video with every runner in your life, because these races deserve to be known. These experiences deserve to be had, and these stories deserve to be told. Now lace up, your race is waiting. See you at the finish line.